Brian Sexton, John Oehser, Ashlyn Sullivan. Jaguars Drive Time starts right now.
Good morning. Happy Friday. Welcome into Jaguars Drive Time presented by the Fields Auto Group. We start every Friday morning with head coach Doug Marrone for Coffee with the Coach. Coach, good morning. The Jaguars getting ready to take on the Steelers on Sunday, and we listened to Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin's press conference earlier in the week, and he had an interesting quote saying that the Steelers aren't preparing to take on Jimmy Smith and the Jaguars aren't preparing to take on Jerome Bettis this week. The history is just history. So my question is, how much do you talk to this team about this rivalry? It's always interesting, but does that really matter this week?
No, I don't think it does. I think it makes for, good commentary. And, I know that in the past, the Jaguars and Pittsburgh have always played in tough games. And, I think, they go back to, the 2017 year where we were fortunate to beat them twice up there. And then, in 2018, I believe they came down here and it was a close game and they wound up beating us. So I think a lot of people look at that, but obviously, things change in this league, every year. And, they're a team that's coming down here. They're 9-0. They've got a lot going for them. And, they're going to come down here and try to keep that streak going. And we're excited about playing a great football team in Pittsburgh.
Coach, for some reason, it always seems to me like Mike Tomlin gets overlooked when people talk about great coaches in this league. I know you don't overlook him. I know you respect him a lot. What is it about his teams that you respect and admire?
I think you look at the whole organization. I mean, you're talking about for decades, they've been, really probably dominant on the defensive side of the ball, more than anything. They've got a lot of good players, and it just seems like year in and year out, they're always tough. They're always, they're a tough out, to go against that defense. And I think, Ben's been there for about 17 years now. And I don't know if he's ever had a losing season in a full season, since he's been the quarterback. So, not only you have a great defense that's been going for you every year, and, you got a quarterback that's potentially in the Hall of Fame, that's never had a losing season. And you got a lot of good personnel around them. So, they've done a great job, and not to say that, Mike's not a big part of it. He is. I think he does a great job with his players, does a great job with the team. Always had a lot of respect for Mike. We're friends. So, we've gone up there in the past when I've been a head coach in Buffalo and practiced against him for a couple of days and, really got a lot of great work in. So, from top to bottom, it's a class organization.
Something you said this week about their front seven really struck me. You said it might be the best Steelers front seven you've seen, which puts them above a lot of really good front sevens. How good is that group? And I guess how important is it to do what you talked about earlier in the week? Stay in the game, stay close, keep situations manageable.
Yeah, I think it's a great challenge. And I said, the best front seven that I've seen as a coach. I mean, obviously I don't want to go back to when, Lambert and Lambert and Andy Russell, and I mean they've had unbelievable front sevens, during the 70s. But as far as for me, when I've been in the league coaching and everything, I think this front seven is good. I think they just keep switching up the names, but the production's there. Whether it's Kevin Green and Greg Lloyd, and now you got Bud Dupree and T.J. Watt. Plus, Cam Hayward's been there for such a long time. Has been a really good football player for him, and Truitt. And he's playing outstanding right now. They lost Bush, the linebacker that they've had from Michigan, who's a heck of a player, but it doesn't seem to have stopped them. I think they're number one in sacks and number two in quarterback hits, as far as the football team. And if you get into tough situations, they can really cause some problems for you out there.
Hey, Coach, we spent so much time this week talking about Ben Roethlisberger and those three wideouts, but we haven't talked about what the Steelers' identity has long been, and that's their running game. What have you seen from this group? And I mean, in all the years, 27 years that I've covered Jaguars-Steelers games, they have always had a dominant running back who has been able to set the tone and make things happen, but we just haven't talked about it this week. People are so focused on the passing attack. What do you see from their running game?
Well, I think that's one of the things that they came out early in the week with and saying that, they wanted to get a little bit more focus on the run game. I think that, Ben's playing at a very high level with those receivers and their six, total offense. They're scoring a bunch of points. So, they're not going to really start changing anything from that respect. But I think they're taking a good look now, saying, hey, listen, when the playoffs come around, because there'll be a playoff team, and one of the things when you're playing in the Northeast, you got to be able to tackle, you got to be able to be physical. James Conner's a heck of a running back. We've seen him now over the years, and I think they're going to try to reestablish that and put a little bit more emphasis on it, so this way they can continue to build that. And then when you get the running game and the passing game going like the way they have, then, obviously they're a tough team to beat.
And just, I know you're focused on this week, big picture. You mentioned earlier this week that the Steelers have been winners for 50 years, right? Since Chuck Noll took over, and you obviously had a relationship with Coach Noll. It's so hard to become consistent. That seems almost impossible, the length of time that they've been consistent. From your perspective, all the years you've done this, what does it take? Is it a quarterback? Is it a coach? Is it an owner? What creates the kind of consistency that you're looking for?
I think it's everything. I think it's everything that you just said. I think that, I think from a defensive identity, they've had a lot of, defensive coordinators over the years. Dick LeBeau, is probably one of the best that I've ever gone against. But as far as the scheme of the defense, it's changed. Each coordinator has a little bit of a change in it. But the body type and the type of players that they're getting at those positions seems to haven't changed for years, since the 70s. So there's been a lot of consistency there. And then, obviously when you get a quarterback that's played 17 years, you're going to have to have won a lot of football games. And I think that, just your organization and what everyone thinks about the Steelers, they think about physical and toughness, and they have skill. There's just a lot of things that they have as a culture, that helps them when players walk into the building. The expectations are there, the history's there, ownership's there. So I think just from top to bottom, that's how you create the consistency. It just can't come from one facet of an organization.
Coach, I was talking to Tony Baselli earlier this week, and we were talking about the offensive line last week in Green Bay. Overall, a great game, but what stands out is that final drive with those 2 sacks. And Tony was saying that's what's so hard about being an offensive lineman, is that spotlight is on you, and when things go wrong, everyone knows it. So for Cam Robinson and Jawan Taylor this week, who definitely would like to have that final drive back, how do you shake that off so quickly, preparing for the Steelers pass rush that's one of the best in the league?
Yeah, I think, it probably lingers, for a couple of days, and then I think you got to move on and then get a game plan and focus on your opponent. I don't think that, things like that happen during the course of the game, where you're going to get beat. Anyone, I used to always say, if you've never been beaten, you never really played. I mean, everyone's going to get beat. How you come back from it is obviously important, way to shake it off. So, I think both of those guys, disappointed, in how they performed at the end of the last game. But, now they got to come back and have a strong game against, the 2 top pass rushers, tandem in the league right now, with Dupree and TJ Watt. So, they've got their hands full. They've got to really play well for us, and they understand that.
All right, Coach, thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it, and good luck on Sunday.
Great. Thank you, Ashlyn.
Of course, and coming up on Jags Drive Time, a game preview presented by Simply IOA. But first, let's recognize our Frontline worker presented by Farah & Farah.
Jennifer Colson is our Farah & Farah Frontline Worker of the Week. Jennifer has taught 1st and 2nd grade students with autism for more than a decade. Working in a self-contained class is always challenging, but dealing with the added pressures brought on by COVID-19 created new demands. The scope and intensity of the job ramped up quickly, and Jennifer met the challenge, teaching the kids to wear their masks, wash their hands, and stay 6 feet apart. Jennifer worked tirelessly and without fear, despite the threat to her own health, and balanced the needs of her students and her own family. The Jacksonville Jaguars and Farah are proud to recognize Jennifer Colson as this week's Frontline Worker of the Week.
At ViStar, we believe in better. Better convenience, so members can bank any way they want. Whether it's at a branch, on a mobile device, or at one of more than 20,000 fee-free ATMs across North America. We believe that people have better things to do with their time. If you believe that convenience is better, join ViStar. We never forget that it's your money. All loans subject to approval, insured by NCUA.
The wait for the holidays is over, America. It's time to make some joy. And we're here to help with the Ford Built for the Holidays sales event. We're offering the best deals of the season across the Ford lineup, so you can road trip with the whole family comfortably in a Ford Expedition. Bring home a tree that's bigger than you ever have with a built Ford Tough F-150. And find new ways to make the holidays bright this year when you visit your local Ford dealer. The joy is up to you, America, so let's get to it. Ford, built for the holidays.
In Florida, bicyclists have the same rights and responsibilities as everyone else on the road. So when you ride, follow the rules. Always wear a helmet and use lights on your bike. And drivers, watch for cyclists. Give them space to ride. And don't forget, when making that right on red, look to your right first to see if a cyclist is approaching in the bike lane. We all have a responsibility to keep ourselves and each other safe. Alert today, alive tomorrow. Because safety doesn't happen by accident. This message brought to you by the Florida Department of Transportation.
Fair reminds you to continue to wear a mask. Help prevent the spread of COVID-19. Fair protecting you and your family since 1979. Welcome back to Jags Drive Time Friday morning, which means we get into a game preview presented by Simply IOA. Jaguars and Steelers on Sunday, and the first thing we're going to focus on is protecting your quarterback. This pass rush is the best in the league, leads the NFL in sacks and forced turnovers. To stay competitive in this game, you have to give Jake Luton a chance and contain that pass rush. Keep it under pressure throughout the game to give your quarterback a chance here in this game. All right, big thing too that we're going to focus on is give him the ball no matter what. No matter who the opponent is this season, offense runs through running back James Robinson. That does not change this week. Rely on him. Use the run to set up the pass. Do not get intimidated by the Steelers pass rush and try to change things up. James Robinson works. Continue to use him. Third thing we focus on, do your job on defense. Steelers have a ton of offensive weapons, especially at wide receiver. CJ Henderson, unfortunately, was placed on injured reserve yesterday with a groin injury, so this is a big test for the secondary and pass rush to try to disrupt the Steelers' passing game, which is definitely playing at an all-time level. And Brian, that's the biggest thing that stands out is this secondary, without CJ Henderson going against guys like Juju Smith-Schuster, you want to try to limit the explosive plays as much as possible.
Well, I mean, if DJ Hayden comes back, that helps you quite a bit. But if CJ Henderson's out and DJ is not available to you, I don't know if they can do it, which means that it goes on the offense. And the offense has got to find a way to score points, which takes us back to the first point, that's protect the quarterback. The thing about the zone blitz that makes it so difficult is it's nearly impossible to guess who's coming. Because at any moment, anybody, but generally the nose tackle stays in place, but anybody's dropping back into coverage and someone you don't expect is coming. You can try and guess and you can try and base it on tendencies, but through all the years, every quarterback that's faced it has said, you just have to be prepared. You have to see it coming when it starts, and you have to know where you're going with the football. That's a big ask, John, for a quarterback making his third start, which is why we go to the second big thing here, and that is don't abandon the running game. It is his best friend.
Yeah, every one of these, as we went 1, 2, 3, I kind of laughed. I'm like, well, that's tough. I mean, and the next one is like, well, that's tough to do. You know, so I think that's what you're dealing with is no matter who you are, Jaguars are struggling, but no matter what team's playing the Steelers this year, if you went down that list of things, they're tough to do. I wrote for my 10 things the Jaguars need to do to win. They need to run James Robinson. And then as I wrote that, I thought to myself, well, if Jay Gruden's reading this, he's probably thinking, well, yeah, John, I'd like to do that. But if I don't stay in the game and if I get behind on the sticks, If a run early on downs doesn't work with James Robinson, how do you stick with him? It's a giant task, but I agree. They're the best, meaning the Jaguars, when they can run James Robinson. All these things are brutally difficult. I want to go back. I think it's number 3, covering these wide receivers. This is not a team that goes deep that much anymore. They have to get on the line. They have to disrupt. Todd Wash talked a lot this week about the defensive backs are doing a good job disrupting route. That's the key against this Steelers team. I'm with Brian. Without C.J. Henderson, I don't know if they can do it. All these tasks are tough, but they got to do them.
Yes, they do. And we focus as well on quarterback Jake Luton getting ready for his 3rd start in the NFL. And last week was a tall task, going up to Green Bay in those weather conditions. And his stats dropped off a little bit, but overall still played well. So, Brian, what would you like to see from him? He's back in Jacksonville. Obviously, the Steelers defense is very talented, but you at least don't have the conditions that you had last week.
Well, no, look, my expectations are not all that high. He's only making his 3rd start against an enormously big challenge with this defense. I mean, not only did they lead the league in sacks, but in takeaways with 17. So my expectations aren't that high to begin with. What I do hope to see is him make progress. He came out and gave us a great look at how he is capable of winning football games against the Texans, right? 3rd play, the touchdown over the top, was poised, mounted that come-from-behind touchdown, narrowly missed on the 2-point conversion, battled the wind well. He's a tough kid. He's tough-minded. He's going to need it on Sunday. Just show me progress. That's all I'm looking for. I'm not looking for a miracle. Jake Luton is not going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers all by himself. That's not going to happen. Ben Roethlisberger can do that occasionally. Jake Luton cannot. I don't want to see him play outside of himself. Just go be you and understand this is another week that you get a chance to try to win this job.
Yes, could not agree more. It was funny. I was talking, John, with Cam Robinson yesterday, and Cam was saying, like everyone was saying, the poise stands out, the poise and the confidence. But he did say that first touchdown pass to DJ Chark, he got a little giddy in the pocket and started yelling. And then Cam said he hasn't heard yelling since. But that poise, you need it, especially this week. You don't want to get rattled against the Steelers team.
No, you don't. And I think it was Brian a second ago was talking about the wind in Green Bay. Maybe it was Ashlyn. You could see a scenario midway through the first quarter playing against the Steelers where Jake Luton is like, that wind wasn't so bad compared to these guys, because this front 7 is a monstrous task. Again, in my 10 things that I wrote this week, I wrote that I would like to see Jake Luton hit some plays early and have some success with the deep ball, because I don't think it's fair to expect him to have a monster game, to have a 350-yard game where he's good the whole game. If he's going to be good, if he's going to hit some plays, hit them early to get the defense back to keep you in it. I would like to see Jake Luton hit some big plays downfield early and get the Jaguars some early points so they can get to James Robinson. I don't think it's fair to expect him to have a 4-touchdown game on Sunday.
Could not agree more. Just want to see him progress in the upward direction. When we come back, he will, he won't, he might, going into this Steelers game on Sunday, coming up on Jags Drive Time.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s, and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
The best way to feel love is to share it. At Hanania Subaru of Orange Park, we always go the extra mile with bigger selection, more savings, our best service. Only Subaru of Orange Park gives you a nationwide lifetime warranty and 1-year complimentary maintenance on new and used vehicles. Plus, when you get a new Subaru during the Subaru Share the Love event, Subaru will donate $250 to your choice of charities. At Hanania Subaru of Orange Park. Online at SubaruofOrangePark.com. See dealer website for full details.
Kessler Creative, proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, has the large format printing services running in high gear, creating large banners for marketing events, full vehicle wraps. Learn how Kessler changes the game with print and direct mail innovation. From eye-catching restaurant menus to real estate yard signs and event displays, Kessler does it all. Kessler Creative, Jacksonville, Florida. Results-driven marketing and a proud partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Jags Drive Time is presented in part by TIAA Bank, created to serve, built to perform. By Publix, where shopping is a pleasure. And Baptist Health, changing healthcare for good.
The Jaguars have introduced Jags at Home, an interactive second screen experience on Jags game day featuring myself and Eric Dunn. Each Sunday you'll have the chance to win $10,000 in cash and prizes. Visit jagsathome.com for more information on how you can play this Sunday. Back on Jags Drive Time Friday morning, getting ready for a big game here in Jacksonville on Sunday against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Undefeated Pittsburgh Steelers, which means 3 key players have to play really well and stand out, and that's what we're here for. He will, he won't, he might. Brian Sexton, you have offense.
I'm going back to an old favorite, tight end Tyler Eifert. Look, he will become the quarterback's favorite player on Sunday. He played against the Steelers. If anyone along that front understands what he's seeing when they snap the football, it will be him. And he will become the hot read, right? The tight end is always the quarterback's best friend against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he will be that guy on Sunday. He will move the chains and keep drives alive. He won't be the guy that gets down the seam and has the 38-yard touchdown. He's not going to be that tight end. You've got guys for that. Tyler Eifert's going to have to be a guy who works the middle of the field, works the sidelines. He's not going to be that dynamic guy. He's just going to be slow and steady in the middle of the field. Slow's the wrong word because I don't think he's slow. But he's going to be steady in the middle of the field. He won't be explosive. He might be the MVP. He might be the guy that catches 6 balls and 5 of them are first downs or third down conversions for first downs that keep things going. Win or lose, he might be the glue for this offense to be functional against Pittsburgh. He has seen them many times. He understands what he's looking at, and he'll be able to help the quarterback.
I like it. We've been waiting for a big game for Tyler Eifert. Maybe it is this week. All right, John, you're going defense side of the ball.
All right, well, Brian's wrong. Tyler Eifert's not going to be the MVP because my guy, Josh Allen's going to be MVP. He will be fired up for this game. I really didn't know this until yesterday when he talked about it on the video conference, but he grew up a huge Steelers fan. Favorite player, Troy Polamalu. Wants to hit Ben Roethlisberger, liked Ben, but didn't want to be a quarterback. He wanted to be a wide receiver. So he'll be fired up. That'll go away after the game, but it's a good pregame storyline. I mean, it'll go away during the game, but it's a good pregame storyline. He won't get a bunch of sacks, mainly because the Steelers, meaning quarterback Ben Roethlisberger, they get the ball out so fast now that it's really difficult to have the kind of pressure game that they had in 2017 when they played him. It's a different kind of offense. But he might, and all he needs, Brian, he might get one. He might get 1 sack. What they need in this game, they need a sack, they need a fumble, they need a Keelan Cole type punt return. They need one big play to keep him in it early. He might be the guy to break through and get that play. If he does, and if they wind up winning, maybe he beats out Tyler Eifert for the MVP, Schlein.
They need 5. They don't need 1 play. They need 5. And I'm going back to 2017 and the 5 interceptions. They need a bunch of those. However, I will say this, John. If he gets the sack, strip, say it's 10-7 Steelers in the second quarter, and he gets that sack, strip, it's picked up by Miles Jack, returned for a touchdown moment that you were speaking about, that can turn things around in a big way and give the Jaguars a lift when they need it the most. So maybe 1 would be enough.
We'll see. Overall turnovers would definitely help the cause. All right, I'm going offensive line for my he will, he won't, he might, particularly Jawan Taylor. He will leave the skates at home. We all know that moment last week on the final offensive drive. We just talked about it with head coach Doug Marrone. It happens. That's what happens when you're offensive lineman in the NFL. But being an offensive lineman is so tough for that reason. He has to block that out, come back this week, and it's a tall task against the Steelers pass rush. But he's going to leave the skates at home. We're not going to see that happen this week, and that'll show what a great game he's going to have. He won't be a guy we talk about post-game, and that's a good thing because we did talk about him last week post-game. You don't want to talk about an offensive lineman in post-game because that means he had a good game. Subtle, stay your ground, keep this pass rush contained, and let's not mention Jawan Taylor or Cam Robinson's name Sunday or Monday for that matter. He might be the most important player on the field Sunday, and that's a lot to say with Jake Luton and this Jaguars defense, but if the offensive line does not contain this pass rush, they have no chance of staying in this game. Offensive line, huge challenge for them. They have to play well to keep this defense contained and give Jake Luton some time. That is, he will. He won't. He might. 3 players to pay attention to on Sunday against the Steelers. When we come back, pick one and pick it coming up on Jags Drive Time.
Dreamfinders Homes has a simple commitment to their home buyers. Deliver unsurpassed quality, uncompromising value, and an extraordinary level of customization you simply won't find with other home builders. With over 40 communities to choose from, you'll find a location you love and the home of your dreams. Dreamfinders has townhomes, single-family homes, and custom estate homes starting from the high 100s and a wide selection of move-in ready homes. Quality, value, customization. That's the Dreamfinders difference. Call 904-738-0165 or online at dreamfindershomes.com. Dreamfinders Homes, the official home builder of the Jacksonville Jaguars. Prices subject to change without notice. Equal housing opportunity.
Why do you choose Farah and Farah? First, we have the financial resources to take on any insurance company. And our track record proves that we know how to win. Our attorneys and staff are a team, and we've worked together for decades. To us, our job is much more than just a paycheck. We love to help. And this is important. We never forget. It's not about us. It's all about you. Farah and Farah, Jacksonville.
Pinpoint, the official signage partner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, helps business decision makers like you maximize the impact of their brand. Your company's identification, advertising, and even the words you use make an impression on your clients. With Pinpoint as your coach, you can make sure it's a good impression. Pinpoint provides the creative design and production services for anything you need to enhance your brand, from custom signage to complete marketing solutions. Step up your game with Pinpoint and create the ultimate brand experience for your clients. Visit experiencepinpoint.com.
Jags Drive Time is presented in part by Dreamfinders Homes, homes that fit your lifestyle. Next Grill, everyone's invited. And Adecco. Visit ADECOUSA.com.
Pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep, 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 talk a lot, pick a little more, pick a little, talk a little, pick a little, talk a little, cheep,
Numbers going on the field. You know what that means. Home game this Sunday, Jaguars, Pittsburgh Steelers. But that's only one game in this NFL weekend. We have 3 to preview and pick one and pick it. Brian Sexton, you're going a divisional rival. Their game.
I am. You know, I was on the Bills bandwagon, and then DeAndre Hopkins crushed my victory last week with that incredible catch. I go with Titans at Ravens, and you've got 2 teams who've kind of been headed in the opposite direction. You've had the Ravens who've won 3 of their last 4, and the Titans who've lost 3 of their last 4. Here's what's interesting. There are a lot of guys who have been out all week long, and I don't know how you pick games in 2019 or 2020 with COVID-19 hanging around, because who knows who's playing. But this just feels, Ryan Tannehill has 20 interceptions and 20 touchdowns. 20 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. His numbers say he's had a great season. But the last 3 weeks, he's not been the difference, and they paid him to be the difference. And yet Lamar Jackson every week makes one play that makes you say, how do you beat that? So I'm going to go with the Ravens, and they keep trending forward, and the Titans fall backwards a little bit from the top of the AFC. I do think there's a wide gap between the Ravens and the Chiefs and the rest of the AFC.
Mm-hmm. Would be a huge win for the Titans to stay on the map, that's for sure. All right, I'm going Dolphins at Denver Broncos. Denver's defense has given up more than 30 points in its past 4 games, and the Dolphins are finding stride. A 5-game winning streak for the Miami Dolphins. Miami's defense kind of under the radar, one of the better ones in the NFL, but everyone is paying attention to this guy, Tua Tagovailoa, of course. But Drew Lock is the person that should be paid attention to in this game, the Broncos quarterback. His status is up in the air, but to be frank, does it really matter? Because he's coming off a game where he threw 4 interceptions, definitely some quarterback troubles in Denver, but it seems like Miami's got it all figured out. If the Dolphins go win, Brian, and win 6 in a row, I don't even want to know what's going to happen to South Florida, because when that team becomes hot, everyone jumps on the bandwagon.
Yeah, and that quarterback is hot too. Hey, I just have to add this in real quick. I said Chiefs and Ravens. I obviously meant Steelers. Those 3 teams in the AFC. The Steelers 9-0. I didn't mean to leave them off. And you may have to put the Dolphins in there next year.
Yeah, we'll see. Definitely got to include the Steelers in that one. All right, John, you have Chiefs at Raiders.
Yeah, I thought for a while we had a big story. Brian Sexton disses Steelers. But it's I think this game is huge because the Raiders are quietly 6-3. If they win this game, all of a sudden they're not so quietly 7-3. And like Sean said, if the Dolphins win, they're 7-3. That gap that we all saw, and I agree with Brian, I've thought for a couple of weeks that it's Steelers, Chiefs, and everybody else. I'm not even sure the Ravens belong up there right now. But if the Raiders win this game, then all of a sudden that big gap is not something that we're all talking about. And the Chiefs, who have lost at home and who almost lost at home, look strangely vulnerable. I still think they get it back by the end. I still think they're the best team along with the Steelers. Super Bowl pedigree, Super Bowl championship teams win this kind of game. I'm going with the Chiefs.
A lot of teams could separate themselves with a big win this weekend, NFL weekend. Jaguars and Steelers this Sunday. That's the game we're all paying attention to. Stay tuned for rapid recaps Sunday after the game, and we'll be back Monday morning bright and early talking about this Jaguars game, Jags versus Steelers, here in Jacksonville. Coming up. We'll see you Monday.